name's not Dan, you're not coming in. Not tonight, not tonight.
We are Security Nation.
Your name's not Dan, you're not coming in.
Our expertise allows everyone to have a great time.
Your name's not Dan, you're not coming in.
So they can feel safe and enjoy the occasion to the max.
Not tonight, you're not on the list.
So, guys, here we are. We've finally made it to another show. It's been a long time. I'm just going to let you know I did break my finger for some reason, so asleep, which is a first, I've got to be honest. We've finally made it. I have a couple of guests tonight, and we are probably going to be a little bit controversial. Some of you may know my guests, some of you may not. I'm trying not to get sued tonight if I can help it. But we are going to be totally honest. We're going to talk about some of the things that we think are a problem, what we think could be done better, and what we think's happening, what shouldn't happen, and hopefully you guys can get involved. I've got a lot of questions that have been sent in, but for my first guest, I have Jason. Jason's come from Wiltshire, from CR2. Say hello.
Hello.
I've also got two of my staff members that have come up. So I've got Gary. Say hello.
Hello.
And Dan.
Hello.
So we are going to be pretty open tonight. We're going to say we're just going to talk about stuff and be pretty honest, I think, and try not to get me sued. Okay. So let's start. What do we think the biggest problems are with the security industry at the minute, and the problems and stuff? And we could probably go on about this for quite a while. Jace, let's go with you first.
I think regulation's the biggest one at the moment.
Regulations.
There doesn't seem to be any at all.
Okay.
So, you can highlight a lot of stuff, i.e. the non-English speaking people, the incorrectly trained people.
Yeah, that's definitely
unprofessional people.
100% there is an issue across the board with a lot of people that struggle with the English language, shall we say, that don't have an understanding of the English language, and let's be really honest about it. Sorry, Luke, can you just take my phone? Let's be really honest about it. 99% of our game is communication.
Yeah.
And how you speak to people. And let's be honest, that's not a secret. And yet, how do you communicate if you can't speak English? What do you think? Am I right? Dan?
Of course, and we've seen this throughout all the sporting events that we've worked this year. We see it in retail, we see it at festivals, and it's almost caused us to come unstuck in certain areas where, we provide, as a company, you provide a quota of staff, and the client then comes to you and says, what are you doing about this guy? Because I've asked him to do something and he can't understand the word I'm saying. The client, the patrons of the event are asking him for information to where to go, and they can't understand what he's saying.
We've seen it. I mean, we're fortunate. I mean, and I will say we are fortunate in as much as just about everyone who works for us can understand English, or is English, if you like. I think it's more difficult when you go into the likes of Birmingham, London, Luton, Bradford. I think there's different elements, ethnic groups that do struggle, but I think that the SI are very aware that there is an issue.
But they're not doing anything to tackle it. That's the issue. So, as a trainer myself, and as you, Marcel, as a trainer, that there's an element on there that says you have to write a statement, and it has to be clear and legible in the English format, and it's not.
Yeah, for sure.
And so how will they pass it? If they can't pass that criteria, how do they get around it?
Well, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I can be honest and say that I've only ever had one guy here that attended a course for us for nation training, and after the first hour of being here, I basically gave him his money back and said, look, you do not have an understanding that's going to get you through this course.
In fact, we've actually had two, because I've done the same, didn't I?
You?
With the guy that didn't want to touch anyone
during
the first aid. So the first aid modules, the first part.
Yeah,
the
hands-off doorman that never touches anything.
He wouldn't do CPR or anything like that because he didn't want to touch people.
Yeah. Gary, I know you've got a view on this, so here goes, everyone.
Right, I do have a bit of an opinion on this. I've done the job a very, very long time, too long, some would say. The thing is with myself, you know, I'd done this job when perhaps the criteria weren't spread as thin on the ground and we didn't have to be a jack of all trades and master of none. I started out as a doorman, still doing it now. We do a lot of other stuff.
What are you, 74 years in?
I'm 109. So this year's my 32nd year on the door. So I am a veteran.
Yes,
now.
so you have been doing it a long time, let's be honest.
And you know, when we were all doing it way back when, before the SIA, before even the council badge, the job was different. We were what you would class as a bouncer. People skills weren't really important at the time, but obviously we had to become a little bit more diverse with how we are, how we do the job, and what we're up against. But that can only happen in a safe environment if the people that you're working with are of the same understanding. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to get that understanding with a language barrier.
And that's trust. That's having confidence in your team, confidence in the people that you work with, and knowing that they're on a level with you that, you know, you don't. We're not saying you have to be the hardest man in the world, but at the very least you have to be able to have the uptake and the knowledge to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, very much.
And be stood there.
It's not, you know, it's not, like I say, the job's different. Years ago we were bouncers. Now we're door supervisors. You know, we've become,
evolved. We did a show about that.
Yeah, we're hosts now.
We can no longer pull women out by their hair.
It's that thing where
Jane Wrangles.
You know, a good doorman's best tool's his mouth and not his hands.
That sounds like a Paris Hilton quote. Jason, what do you think? So these people that are coming in that struggle to grasp language.
So I think what it boils down to is obviously training providers with a lack of morals, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they shouldn't be passing, but they are passing, whether that be through greed, you know, because obviously they pay for courses or, you know, whatever it may be. But it is a lack of morals. But then I also think as well it is a lack of awarding bodies actually regulating the training as such. So I teach as well. Mm-hmm. I remember I taught a course, right? Not my most sort of best moment, but I forgot to sign off a bit of paperwork, right? Quite an important bit of paperwork.
Yep.
And the awarding body, you know, sort of rang with, I need the signatures. I'm like, well, can't really get the signatures, but I can show you the footage. You know, everyone knows now we record.
Yeah, so
stuff like that. Yeah?
Here we are, and everything in this room is filmed.
Yeah.
And we do this because it is our training room. This is our studio on this side, and the training room's there. And as you can see, there's 3 cameras there. There's a camera here, and obviously everything we do is filmed so we can justify and go, there it is. Yeah. It's accountable. Yeah. Accountability, I should say.
So I said to them, I can send you the footage.
Yep.
You know, on that, it'll state their name, their date of birth, the date they attended. The response back was, and I shit you not, we don't need that. We just need signatures. So I was like,
it's crazy.
Right, okay, but
irrelevant whether they were here or not.
Yeah.
All you want is a signature.
Where it's got on camera footage.
Okay.
That they were there. You know, on that specific date, they were there.
Yeah.
But they did not want that. They wanted signatures.
Even though you could demonstrate that they had
there,
done it, carried out the work.
They were more bothered about signatures. So I was like, right, okay, why the fuck am I recording this then?
Yeah.
Is there a need for it?
That's for auditing purposes. Should they need to come and check up on you, isn't it?
But are they checking up on them? Because with the amount of people that have got licences now, and there's quite a lot of them that probably shouldn't have them.
Oh, there's probably
So
in the thousands.
Going back, so I won't say publicly what I do in this job, but I'm a regional engineering manager, and I go to a lot of different sites, let's say. And one of the guys at one of my sites didn't have his SA licence on display. So I explained to him that he needs to have it on display, explained to the duty manager that, you know, these guys that are coming in need to display their licence, they're working in the public sector, blah, 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 they're interacting with the public. And I said, oh, where is your licence? And he just looked at me and shrugged. I was like, where's your SA licence? He says, I don't have one. I said, you haven't got one or you haven't got it with you? I goes, So I showed him a picture of my one. And oh yeah, so he gets it out and I looked at it. I went, that's not even you.
Yeah.
He went, no, it's my brother's. I went, what?
Yeah.
I was like, so anyway, so I turned to the duty manager and said, like, you mean need to have a chat and explain to him what he's done. And so now that's gonna, I won't mention the national company
That's mental.
beginning with
Yeah.
M. So
Yeah.
okay, so I won't tell you what that company is, but you know that's where we're at.
I think
everyone
knowing the
knows.
sites that you work out, I can probably work that one out.
And I was just like, so obviously I had a conference call today with all the duty managers from along the south coast and the director, and it was like any other business, so I brought it up on there, and now everyone, so I explained to them what Section 3 is from the SIA and a Section 5, and they're liable for the Section 5 part, because effectively they become their employee whilst they're under their remit, and they were like, whoa. So they've done a check since the conference call today, they've done a check, and 4 out of 46 sites were found to have fake SIA licenses.
Yeah.
So the thing is with that though, there is a flip side to that coin. Now we all of us here hold an SIA badge, and we are liable to make sure, and we are responsible to make sure that our proof of address is changed, this and everything. Because if the SIA come up to you at any given time and they want the information, we have to be able to give it. Now on the flip side of that, how can you then go and work as a security officer in some of the biggest retail outlets, as in superstores, in the UK, and work under an umbrella of working for them in-house, as it were, where there is nothing for you to check? So a member of the public, if they feel aggrieved by yourself, there is nothing that you can say, can I see your badge? If we were to turn around and say no to somebody, we're in the shit.
So the in-house rule is a bit of a
You know,
grey area.
grey
I mean,
area is
I got to
always
be honest,
something.
I cannot, and I still don't fully understand how ASDAs get around the way they do it. You know, there's no real accountability, no training, and ASDAs, you can be a security guard and not have to have an SIA badge. I don't get that at all. However, you don't need it, and they can work in-house without it. I don't get how that works. I spoke to ASDAs once a few years back, granted, and yeah, the fact is you can be an employee of ASDAs, you can act and operate as one of their security in store.
And I
Do not need an SIA badge.
Thing
How
is-
does that work?
I've seen these guys firsthand, you know, physically stopping people and dragging them back in. You know, if my badge was one day out of date and I put a hand on somebody,
Oh, for sure.
I'm in this shit. And I mean, we're talking deep shit.
Yeah, I mean,
So, you know,
I think
and
it's
we do.
across the board. I mean, it's. I mean, I will say this. I spoke to the SIA. I've spoken to the SIA recently. I've invited them onto this show. The SIA have declined to come on 3 separate occasions now, and I even spoke to a young lady who hosted the conference this week. And I invited her onto the show. She said that, well, she made it clear she didn't work for the SIA. I said, but you did host their conference. So she said, I was working with them. I said, but you were very opinionated in your hosting of how the SIA should work. Why don't you come onto the show? To which she was like, oh God, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. I have asked the SIA on a number of occasions, and when I have spoken to the SIA, and I'm not here to bash the SIA because, you know, they're not here to defend themselves, but when I have spoken to the SIA, that's the finger that's broke, they're very aware of the problem. They're very aware that there is a problem within the industry, that there are hundreds of people that have got badges that have not attended a course. There are people that cannot speak English that hold SIA badges. There are people
Do you
that
think
run
they care though? All the
I
while
think
they're
they-
making the money.
I
they
don't know
care.
if they care. I don't think they do. I think that they're sort of playing
the way,
lip
the way
service
they'll
to
look at
us.
it is the way they'll look at it is if they get caught, they get caught, and we'll deal with them, and we'll make more money out of them,
But
and we'll
that's-
prosecute
to be
them
like-
to try and make an example, like they say. But all the while they're getting away with it,
Yeah.
they're not bothered.
Nah. To be honest, I look at that and think
It-
every single person that works in the industry pays money to work in the industry.
Yeah.
They pay for a license.
We all do. I do.
So
So
take
if-
us as trainers. So you said
Yeah.
you're a trainer, Jace. So what people fail to understand is like, so Marcel and I, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got to go and redo our physical intervention.
Yeah,
top up.
I've got to do
So
my-
yeah,
so we-
Bob,
so we have
we
to
want
do
a
that.
discount, Bob. We're coming
So we
for
have to
you.
do that every year.
Yeah.
So we go from here to Elite
Bob,
That's
don't
what I
forget
got,
us.
yeah.
to see Bob. You know, so we got to pay to come from here all the way up to
yeah.
Norwich, stay in a hotel, pay for the course, come back.
Yeah.
But people whinge about doing a top-up course, which is 150 quid that lasts them 3 years. We have to
Yeah,
spend
we have to do that a year.
£200 every year, plus we have to pay for the top-up course as well, on top of that. So that's £750.
Yeah.
And that lap dancing club is expensive there in Norwich.
Yeah, the one on Prince of Wales Street. Yeah,
But no, I'm away actually to Elite next month to,
Yeah.
to renew my PR.
yeah.
license.
So we are as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the fact that everyone pays to work in the industry, so it's common knowledge. There's a lot of people out there that haven't paid to work in the industry.
Yeah.
So if you're paying that money, where is that money going? You know what I mean? They're supposed to regulate that industry. They are.
So yeah.
The-
So this
the-
goes back to what you were saying earlier,
So
the
let me
regulation of
just
it.
interject. So Bob won't mind me saying this. Bob, we speak to Bob quite a lot. You obviously know Bob. I spoke to Bob the other day because we have seen evidence of a course that was being taught in what was it? I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't in English. It was the course was being taught in.
and translated.
It was being taught in Indian, Pakistani. What's the language?
Asian.
No, well,
Arabic.
no. I can't get the word. But anyway, when I spoke to Bob, he was aware of it, but he was also aware of another course that was being taught in Fleet, and it was being what nationality are the Gurkhas?
Nepalese.
Nepalese.
Look, this was an SIA course being taught in Nepalese. What the fuck are you doing with it? And how the fuck is that even sanctioned? And I believe action has been taken, and I believe that was what happened. But I mean, these are things that happen, but unless we know or we can see it, we can report it.
Should I tell you how they get away with that? Because they're part of the Commonwealth.
Well,
That's what they'll use. That'll be the excuse they use. So they'll all be ex-military. They'll all be
Yeah.
in the Gurkha regiment in Aldershot, in Camberley, wherever they're based now. And that's how, because they're part of the British Commonwealth and they've been part of the British Armed Forces, that's how they get away with it. Because I know 2 Gurkhas that have been on them courses that I was talking to the other week.
But that completely circumnavigates the problem of the communication breakdown
Yeah.
within the job
Oh,
that
100%.
allows all of these problems to transpire.
I've got to be honest.
I've got some good Gurkha friends that can speak fluent English, but I know a hell of a lot that I've worked with and served with over the years.
Yeah, and I
that
don't
speak a word.
I don't
I've
have a
got
problem
English
with
friends
them.
that
I have an issue with the fact that I've been doing this, 30 plus years, and I believe that situations of conflict, 98% of them, 99.9% can be dealt with by just purely talking to somebody the right way. In an emergency situation, you have to come across clear and simple, and yet I find that the fact that you have the brass neck to be able to teach a course in Nepalese, or attempt to try, and there was also another course that we pointed out that was being taught in I can't even think of somebody did correct me on Facebook about it the other day and said it was whatever it was, but it wasn't English, let's put it that way. And but let me ask you a couple of questions here. So I've got a question that was sent in. Steve works for a large company with the number 4 in it. Every time we sub in, we get people that are not English. Have you found this to be a problem during event season? I can categorically tell you we supply 90% of our own staff, and when we have had suppliers say, can we give you staff, my first question is, can they speak English, and do they have a full understanding of English? And I can tell you categorically that most 99% of suppliers will try and dish out
Substandard stuff.
some substandard stuff that can't speak or have a really good grasp of the English language. It's a massive epidemic across the country, and I cannot be the only company that suffers that. When I have people phoning us up every year at the start of festival season, we do a lot of festivals. I have loads of people saying, "Can we sub into you? Can we do this? Can we do that?" And 90% of them we say no. I have a couple of suppliers that we have been working with for years that trusted. We know some really good suppliers that help us out, that are trusted to us, that are approved suppliers. And I mean, only the other day, the conversation started with, all right, boss, can I supply you some guys? And I knew straight away from the opening paragraph, all right, boss, have you got anything that we can help you supply? And I was like, oh, here we go. And whatever security company that was at the time, I said, I'm not really interested. So yes, is a massive problem in the industry. And subcontractors tend to, they're not even their guys, they sub and then sub to a company which is a non-English company. And it's a massive fucking problem.
I don't even think it's just the language barrier. I think, you know, as far as them being, you know, good enough physically, and I don't mean in a let's be having it row sort of way, but you get guys turn up to do a 12-hour shift at a festival. Now, I've done a lot of festivals.
And they're wearing winkle picker shoes.
They've got winkle picker shoes.
Shiny
on, a
ballroom
white collar,
shoes,
you know,
white shirt, black suit.
Stay pressed trousers. Now, all right, looks smart, but let's
You're
be
at a
practical
fucking
about
festival.
it. You know,
In a muddy field.
Get yourself some decent boots. Admin's not a dirty word. You know, get yourself equipped, get yourself out there and be self-sufficient. These guys, for want of a better word, want their asses wiped for them. They want breaks every 30 or 40 minutes. It cannot happen. We are not at that place where, you know...
I have been asked, I have I'm going to say this, I have been asked to provide a prayer area for some guys at an event. They weren't my staff, thank fuck. But I was like, why do you need
So we had
to
the
provide
guys
an area?
So
on a 12-hour shift that wanted to pray once every hour.
Right, so I turned up at a site the other day. I had to go and drop something off at a site that we used to do the security at. There's another company doing it now. Now, what I'm going to say isn't me going,
Would
you
this
shouldn't
be a certain
praying.
water site by any chance?
It might, yes, exactly, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, this site is a national site it's the new national infrastructure site, actually. It's one of the biggest ones in the UK. It's just gone, well, it's in the process of going live now. And we're no longer there doing the security. There's another company in there. Now, I walked straight through the barrier because both of the guys that should have been controlling the drop barrier were in the middle of the field on prayer mats praying. I walked straight past the pair of them, got it all, went down, knocked the window of the general manager for the entire site, waved to him just to show that I could walk on the site, and walked off again. These guys continued to pray. At not one point did either of them get up and come over to me.
How dare you interrupt them?
I went round the other side where one of them was praying and the other one was sat at a picnic table with all of his food stuck out because he had to eat at a certain time of the day.
Would this be Ramadan?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is
Well,
it? I'm only asking that question.
I
because
don't know.
it's-
I don't know. But
Okay.
you know, so that was
Let's
four
tread
people.
carefully.
But I'm not saying who it was or why they were doing it. But what I'm saying to you is there were 4 people covering 2 entrance gates to a national infrastructure site.
Yeah.
Not one of them was on position because they were facilitating whatever it was they needed to do themselves. So they were mismatched for that job.
Yeah, that's
This is
not
where I'm
ideal.
saying they are substandard as a company supplying because they couldn't, you know, have people from all walks of life to make sure. Got no problem if somebody needs to go and pray. It's no different to me saying, I need to go to the loo. I need to go to the shop. If you need your time to do what you need to do, all well and good. But make sure you've got an amount of staff there that can cover every aspect so that the job's still correct. And that's where some of the companies are substandard, by not looking at who they're sending.
Yeah.
I think also you got the fact that this does sort of wind me up, and probably more than it should do at times. But most stores you look at now, the security guard, the door supervisor, is wearing jeans and trainers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
not
matter.
my doors, I'm afraid.
It
I wouldn't have
doesn't
that.
matter where you look at security now.
Yeah.
It's all the same. So there's.
Well, let's go on to doors. Let's talk about doors because I have a bone of contention currently with doors. Obviously, as you know, I supply a lot of doors, a lot of numbers, and we've taken on a lot more in terms of venues. Anyway,
Did they fit? Was that just me that didn't
the venues that we've taken on, and we like to take on our guys. We provide uniform for our guys. We like to have brand awareness. We like them to be proud to wear our brand, and you know, 99% of our guys absolutely immaculate every week, all the time. What I'm finding is, and this is an area, I'm going to basically say it, so we've taken on some sites in Bournemouth, and we've spoken to a large number of doormen, and what I'm finding at the minute is everybody that we speak to is paying or getting paid fucking cash, and it's fucking the industry, and I'll tell you for why. All these guys expect the same rate, and when I say cash, I'm saying it in as much as they're either invoicing on a dodgy UTR, they're getting paid through an umbrella company or a third-party company, or in some cases, which I know of a company in Southampton, they're getting paid through 4 or 5 different companies to avoid paying national insurance or tax. It's just unbelievable, and I know that they've been sued or they've been prosecuted for it. There are firms in Bournemouth that are allowing it, and every time we say to somebody, right, we're going to take you on, we're going to put you on our system, we're going to put you on payroll, you get paid all of the bits and pieces. I have to, as an employer, pay holiday pay, sick pay, pension, employer's contribution, NI. I have to do all of the things that are right. And then what you think is a cost is not actually a cost. It's not even close. So people go, he's getting paid £14 an hour, but you're charging 16 or 17, so you're making £3 an hour. Are you fucking joking?
Fact of reality is you're making about 50p.
It's not even that, I think,
Exactly.
because of somebody who is £13.50 is actually £15.80 to me.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm charging 16 quid, I'm making 20p.
Yeah.
But you're under the illusions that I'm making £2.50. You're on another planet. It's not even fucking close. So I do have a bone of contention with all these companies that, you know, I'm not hypocritical enough to go, listen, we've had a good run at what we did. You know, over the years, I've been in it 30 years, and if you think that I'm being a hypocrite saying, well, you know, nobody likes cash, that's wrong, because we've done it. But the fact is, you know, over the last 10 years, we've tried to evolve to do it right. We're at a point where all of our guys are on payroll. We try to do it that way. And everybody we speak to is either getting paid cash or under the illusions they're worth fucking 15, 16 quid an hour. So if I wanted to pay you 15 or 16 quid through the books, I would have to charge the client 21. You show me a client that's happy to pay £21 an hour, and I'll show you a very happy director.
They'll just get someone else and they'll do it for £12 an hour.
Exactly.
And that's where it is.
And pay their staff £10 an hour through an umbrella company because there's no
And
contribution.
that's the issue. So you know, so we've had it. So Tom, one of your managers, spoke to me about a guy to take over a door in Salisbury for you.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
I think we had him in here today.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, we did.
You know, gets all ready to work. Boom, boom, boom. And they go, oh, I can't work on a UTR. Oh, I've got to pay PRY. Oh, well, the other door company, they pay their guys weekly at the end of the night. So then they want to go and work for them.
I've got a theory for this, because it could stamp it out quite well.
Yeah.
So, obviously, years ago, however long it was ago, the construction industry had the same thing.
Yeah, of course it did.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And they brought in the CIS scheme, where
Yeah.
what happens is you're still self-employed, but the employer takes off your tax and national insurance before you get your money. So basically, instead of submitting a return
Yeah.
and paying tax, you submit your return and claim your tax back.
I've no doubt that there's possible ways to doing it, and I'm not saying that's wrong
Do you
at
know
all.
what I mean? But
I do believe it is something that we need to look at.
With that, I believe at least 50% would stamp out that
Yeah,
self-employment.
I can
Yeah,
categorize.
100%.
I can.
This is where I think the industry cuts its nose off to spite its face with that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay tax, national insurance. I said to you earlier on today, one of the best things in the years that I've worked was the time when we had the meeting and you went, you know, and the company developed and you went, right, from this moment on, we are all PAYE in that. I know what hits my bank account is mine. End
Yeah.
of. There's nothing. I don't need to.
We try to make it absolutely fair. Where, you know, we looked at what we could charge. We looked at what was the sort of going rate of door staff, and trust me, it does vary massively. I can assure you, I've been to London and other places, and there are times when you genuinely go, "How the I met some doormen that don't work for me in Southampton the other day, and they're on £10.50 an hour." And I said, "How are you on £10.50? That's beneath minimum wage."
But then,
And
That-
I said, "Are you not getting paid holiday, sick pay, or anything like that?" And they're like, "No, we get £10.50 straight in our bank,
straight
no
away,
wage slips."
that then comes back to the question of having substandard door staff against somebody that has been doing the job a long time. They've done their bit. You know, would you, any of us four sat around this table now, we all do it because we have to do it, right? But would you comfortably go and stand next to somebody with a massive language barrier that hasn't got a clue, that turns up in the wrong kit, right? Compared to somebody that will go, I'll stand there and do that job for $13.50 an hour, right? No problem at all. But the companies, not the companies, but the clients want the guys that they've only got to be forking out £10.50.
Yeah.
So they're only going to
For
get
sure,
those jacket fillers.
I will tell you that there are companies
100%,
or there are clients that will say to me, Marcel, have you got a couple of really big guys? A couple of big guys who can do this, you know. And, you know, I sit there and I go, okay, well, we've got some good guys. How about we say we've got some really good guys? Oh, yeah, but I want some really fucking big guys. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not necessarily the case. How about I send you some guys that are very capable of doing the job, that can look after your venue? And for me, as a director, I will look at our managers and say, look, we're here to put round pegs in round holes, people that fit the jobs. Like a bit like what you were saying earlier, it's no point in supplying people that can't do it. And we've got venues that fit other guys, and we've got venues that are not so good. But for us, we look at it and go, okay, all of our guys are at a standard that they all know what they're doing, and they are good at what they do. We haven't beat anybody up. We don't have guys arrested. We don't try and hurt anybody, you know. And we have very few, in the way, or I'd like to think, you got touch wood, very few complaints in that respect. Always going to have somebody complain. Can't keep everybody happy, but the door industry at the minute is suffering. I mean, I can tell you 30 years ago, and I'm just sort of spitballing some figures here, 30, 40 years ago when I first started out, bouncers were still on the doors, and I worked probably on one of the last old school bouncers there is, you know. And I can say that back then I was probably a lot slimmer, but the average weight of a doorman then would have been about 18 stone, give or take. Big guys, you know, 17, 18 stone would have been your average weight of most doormen. Today, if you took 100 doormen, I would say that the average weight of a doorman today is 12.
17 stone if you stuck them all together.
I would say genuinely, and I think that's because the image, the whole thing, and don't get me wrong, I'm not making negatives of this, because we have evolved. We have what I'd like to say is professional door staff today. We have evolved. They are better today. We know more. We do read situations, but there is also an element that is missing from today that I believe should be reintroduced.
The thing is, as well, if you strip it back to, you know, the course, there's a physical intervention part. They've still got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We've had it.
It's not just a case of, I think, what I seem to find, it's like with a lot of stuff. You've got like one end of the scale and the other end of the scale. It started at the top end of the scale where it's like, right, we need to get now rid of these bully boys or whatever,
Meatheads.
old school doormen, and we need to tone it down. But what they've done is toned it down
So
to
much that it's
so much,
diluted
to
it.
the other end of
It's
that,
diluted
of that
the
scale,
industry
where it's
massively.
like they've now forgot about this part of the bit. Like, so it's all well and good talking, but you can't talk your way out of it.
The thing is, that's the way society is.
I've
No.
seen.
That's the issue.
And what they've kind of done is missed a bit there. Right, yeah, we don't need the bully boy tactics or whatever, and we need people that can speak. So instead of going all the way up and tipping the scale all the way in, they haven't sort of met somewhere in the middle. Do you know what
No,
I mean?
I agree with you. I do. I think that to do away with what they tried to do away with from 20 years ago is a positive. But the problem is we've diluted it so much.
Yeah.
We've now got an industry of guys where very few people can deal with violent conflict efficiently, should we say.
I've seen it here.
it's like
I've seen it
how-
in this classroom, right? In this training centre.
Yeah.
We've had incidents when we've done a bit of role play. We do a lot of role play here, and you know, I've seen guys. I'm not the biggest lad in the world, but I've seen guys my size with a doorman, a new doorman on each arm, and they said, "Right, hold him here," and the guys just stood up and they're dangling. You know.
So when I teach, I'm guessing you probably do the same. You kind of take it to the limits as what.
No, of course you do.
as
Yeah,
real
you
as
try
can get
and
it within-
make it
In the role play
realistic.
scenario, we're in a training environment,
Yeah,
so
it's
you
a safe
know full
environment.
well that we're not going to smash your head in.
Yeah.
We're not stabbing you. We're not doing. But we will definitely take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
We will definitely make you feel uncomfortable. And if I have to get in your face, spit and hiss, and start
Yeah.
calling you everything
Yeah.
under the sun, I will.
Yeah.
Because I want you to know what it's like when that pisshead on the Friday night is in your face saying, "I'm going to fucking stab you and kill you." The
That's what I'm
rest of
saying,
it.
but the difference is that pisshead on a Friday or Saturday night is fueled up on drinks, cocaine, and fucking whatever else is in
Yeah.
the system. Do you know what I mean?
And he is
So-
going to have a go.
Yeah.
And
That's what I mean.
you
So
know,
that 17
But
stone
you can
bloke
st-
or
you
whatever.
I
can still
kind of
gauge
not.
it though, can't you?
When I'm teaching, I'm kind of not on cocaine or pissed or. But my
if you-
point is,
if you watch their
But that's
faces
the
when
real-
we explain that
Yeah,
to them,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we say, you know, so just to let you know, this is what's going to happen. We're going to push you to the limit. You're out
And
your
you
comfort zone.
see it drop
You're back,
then.
and watch the colour
Yeah,
drain
you-
out
you
their
can see
face,
it.
and
And
you
then-
look around and you go, he's not going to have it. He's not going to have it. Maybe,
He might do,
yeah.
yeah.
She,
But
she
that's-
looks
yeah.
all right. She doesn't
I
have.
remember I taught
you know,
the course. It was a conflict management part. I literally got right up into this girl's face, literally in there, calling her a fat slag and all sorts. Right, started crying,
yeah,
and I'm like, obviously, you know, tone it down or whatever, and sort of said to her, I was like, "You're going into that environment. Like, this is a safe environment. I'm not gonna hurt you in here. Do you know what I mean? But this is what happened, and I've seen it happen multiple times. But that's what happens when you work in a nightclub or a pub
Yeah.
or whatever.
So I'll tell you what else has sort of drained the industry to some extent, and this is obviously where the SIA and the job centre are in cahoots is the old Kickstart program. I think so, where they're giving people in the job that go down to jobbing
Thing is-
centre a job. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the what's the word? Some of the delinquents of society that suddenly get their door badge, you kind of need sometimes. You know, you do need them people. You know, you do need people that are a bit street savvy and that. But then you got the other extreme where you get 18-year-old 6 stone wet through doesn't want to do it.
I can tell you
think,
now.
and
I've
we have
trained
to say to
somebody.
them, yeah.
I've trained somebody recently, and I'm waiting to get his badge. But I mean, he's got a
You know
checkered
for a
past as long as my arm. Mark Abrahams. but the fact is, he will be good at what he does.
Yeah.
Quite
Cannot-
simply because he's been there, seen it, and
Yeah,
done
but
it.
then you've
But
got,
this
and
is-
now he
this-
knows
you've got the
how to do it
opposite,
the correct
where
way.
we know. So when we do a course, and you'll do the same, Jace, you'll get to halfway through the course or to the end, and you'll just say in your head, you might say to them if they ask, but you'll say in your head, you ain't never going to work
So
on my door.
what I'm going to say now, the SI will frown upon, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot teach door work.
No.
It's as simple as that.
I think-
if you have
yeah.
no life skill about you within that industry, you cannot pluck somebody from school or from college that just goes, I want to be a doorman. You cannot. You can tell them legislation. You can tell them what this is, that is, and tell them how to put that into context. Yes.
So-
you can give them direction, but then put that person on a door in a conflict situation. That shit you can't teach.
Yeah. So I'm gonna show you something. So a little while ago, somebody asked me, and they were on one of our courses for nation training, and he's a good lad, never worked the door, but did the course, so to speak. And then he said to me, he said, can I come and stand on the door with you so I can see it first hand? And I said, yeah, you know, I have no problem with you coming and watching and having a look. And then I thought to myself, I'll probably get done here for using an unlicensed doorman. But the fact, you know, joking around, I said, look, you're more than welcome. And he came out on a Friday night. Obviously, I don't work the door, but I said to him, go and stand at 1865, go and watch what the doormen do. And he spent an hour there, and he watched. And then I said to him, can you go up to Scholars? I said, go and stand just by Scholars, introduce yourself, the head doorman there's Lee Bone, go and see him. And just say, look, I want to watch. And there he was, he stood there. And he was in a Sergio Tacchini tracksuit. And Lee goes, no, sorry, you can't come in, mate. Wouldn't let him in. And he said, oh, no, I'm here to watch. And I actually genuinely thought, you know what? There is something in having guys go and watch
Yep.
what doormen do, what we do, and going, do you know what? Go and see how it works with pissheads and people under the influence of drugs and whatever else. And I think that maybe, and I'm sort of spitballing as I say this, that the SIA should consider something. I'm not saying everyone has to go and stand on the door and do a practice night, but to have an understanding, because unfortunately there are a lot of people that turn up on the
12-hour
course.
probationary period.
Nothing.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, but unfortunately
almost
some
like
people
It's
don't
almost
understand
like an
it.
interview, isn't
Taking a
it?
course.
You've had your Teams interview, and now you're going to go and do a live interview. So your live interview is going to come and stand on the door and chat to me for a couple of hours. You know,
And whether or not anything kicks off, it's not that. It's just having that
Basic
interaction,
insight,
a bit
and
of
knowledge.
banter with
I
people
think,
coming in.
and I'm sort of going across all of you know, trainers and stuff. I know what we try and do on our courses, and I'm sure there are a lot of good trainers that try and do it elsewhere. And I do believe that there are genuinely trainers out there that do try and do the best they can do and spice it up, if you like. We try to be a bit intensive. We try to be a bit colourful with what we do in the role play scenario. And we like to sort of be as real as we can in an environment which realistically nobody's going to be stabbed or hurt or killed. But the reality is, I think that there is possibly an element of you need to know what you're getting yourself into. This is the job role.
I think that's what a lot of people lack.
And some people come here. I mean, somebody said to me just recently, they said, I don't like conflict. And I said, okay, well, it's a strange career choice when you don't like conflict. I said, but interestingly enough, having thought about it, I don't necessarily like conflict. Unfortunately, it's just a necessity that we have to deal with. It comes with the job. So you may not like conflict, but can you deal with it is probably the more important question.
Yeah.
And for me, I asked that question of the girl, and I said, are you somebody that's happy to deal with the conflict? And she said, I'll deal with it if I have to, but I don't necessarily like it. And I thought, well, actually, I don't like conflict
None
either.
of us really do we?
But,
to be honest.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a buzz in it as well,
Yeah,
but
we
genuinely
accept,
speaking,
but we
sensible.
accept the fact that initially, when we started this job, we accepted the fact that is
For sure,
part
there's
and parcel
definitely
of our job.
there is there's plenty of opportunity for you to get involved in it if you deal with it wrongly, and I think this is where the communication gets blurred or is important. If you speak to somebody the wrong way, I think that you're going to get yourself into conflict.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily there.
Oh yeah, and or other people get you into conflict by their actions. So I had an incident the other night. 3 big lads, all of them were well over 6 foot and ripped. All contractors from Wales, and 2 local lads, but both of them big lads. Now nothing physically happened. There was a little bit of push and shove, a little bit of mouthing that. Me and one of the other doormen split them up. The pissed up duty manager come in and he grabbed one of them and pulled him and went, "Get the fuck out of my bar now."
That's all you need.
So what happened? Boom! He pushed him and kicked off and was like, "Who the fucking hell are you?" So I had to grab him and pull him out of the way. And I was like, "Look, Charlie," I said, "leave it." I said, "It's not worth it." I said, "Just you just lot go over there. You just lot go over there." And then afterwards, he comes up to me. He's like, "I want them out my venue. They've kicked off." Blah blah. blah. I was like, "Go get them out." then." I was like, "No one's got hurt." I said, "They've had a bit of a argy-bargy, a bit of mouthing off."
And this is a
I said,
manager that's obviously had a lot to drink.
Yeah. I said, "But you've got involved when you shouldn't have." I said, "You're off duty. You're drunk. You shouldn't be getting involved." And I said, "And you're making it worse." "Well, I'm always getting involved." I go, "But you shouldn't. You've
think
just made it worse."
You've hit a bit of a nail on the head there, because I think if we were to look back over our door work careers or time we spent on the door, all of us at some point have suffered at the hands of a mouthy manager.
Oh, massively.
And I'm
going to give you the saying.
So with this,
one is enough, two is too many.
Right. So with that in tow, right now we get ridiculed, right, as doormen all the time for getting it a little bit wrong or for not doing this and not doing that. Why do the SIA and the councils, not so much the SIA, but why do the councils then, who make sure that the SIA regulate us? So the councils will say to the SIA, all these doormen have to be regulated, right? Why did they not put something in the training programs so that when the DPS does his personal licence, right, so that they know and they have to show restraint and to shut their fucking mouth from time to time and let us get on with the job instead of trying to undermine us, so we end up pissing all over our own bellies?
I think that's actually quite a very good point, actually, that whilst the door staff are trained and everything like that, I think sometimes DPSs, especially younger DPSs today, need to learn, I think probably I'm going to say, to be respectful to their door teams, because I think sometimes the managers now are younger than us. You pay us to do your door. You pay us to run your door.
I don't teach you to run your bar.
I don't teach you how to run your bar. But when we make a decision, we obviously can justify why we've done it. And I think that there is something in that where I believe that managers should also be taught how to be respectful, or to, at the very least, approach the doorman in a way where they can say, "Can you explain why?"
Have some sort of conflict management.
Exactly. So my point to the duty manager that was drunk the other night was all about damage limitation.
Yeah.
I said to him, I said, "You're going to have a scrap with 5 people, and then you're already getting involved, and you've got your mates with you." I said, "So that becomes 8 people."
Yeah.
I said, and then you've got 2 doormen, that's 10 people, then other people get involved. So before you know it, you've got a full blown on scrap. If you send people that direction, give them a warning, keep an eye on them, I said, you've solved the issue, everyone's happy, and as fair as it was, that they were good as gold for the rest of the night. You know, and the only one that kept making a mountain out of a molehill was him.
Yeah.
And I said
Was
to him,
that
I was
just
like,
the fact that he's drunk, or was that his personality anyway?
bit of both, to
Yeah.
be honest. You know, him, a bit of bravado in front of his
But
mates.
there's no regulation. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. There's
I
no
think-
regulation. We're regulated.
I actually walked off the door that night.
You know, there is no regulation with the DPSs. You or I fuck it up, we're off down the road.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I've had, I'll put it out there, I'm not going to lie. He's had phone calls about me. Right?
just 1 or 2.
Right? He might have received a few phone calls about me. And
Over
there
the
are
years.
Over the
Yeah,
years.
over
and
the
there,
years.
And there are certain venues that
the
perhaps
months.
I'm not welcome back to work because I perhaps clash a little bit with people. I am quite outwardly spoken.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But, you know, when shit and fan collide and it is going off, my head's still the first one in there, or one of the first ones in there.
I think sometimes, certainly, door staff in general, and I'm going to say it across the board, door staff, sometimes we make it difficult for ourselves. Sometimes we do say, or people bring it onto them, but unfortunately, when you're trying to understand the way a venue should work, and especially if it's a venue that you're trying to learn what they expect. I mean, we've taken on a venue that just of late. It's run very differently to any venue I've seen, and not necessarily to my approval either. I've looked at it, I've sort of tossed and turned with it a few times and said, would I allow that to go on in other venues? Hell no. But this is what the management teams want, and I've sort of said to the doorman, if that's what they want, that's what they want, but let it be on their head. So doormen across the board, we sometimes make life difficult. But what I'm going to do is I want to move on slightly. So Gary from Birmingham has put, the security industry is fucked and the SIA have done fuck all to help. Can you give a positive that the SIA have done? And if so, I think you're lying. So I'm going to ask you, is there a positive? Give me a positive. Come on, Jace, give
In
me a
all
positive.
honesty, I can't give one, to be fair. Yeah, he has got a very valid point. Like,
I think there are some positives.
is there?
Yeah.
I think,
From the SIA?
don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, we've all just sat here and said that, you know, it was a lot different when we were all meatheads and you stuck together and you done this and everything. But
Give
you
me a
know,
positive. Come on.
Cold light of day, they have regulated some of the uncontrollable meatheads out. You know, you can't have your next door neighbour that's got a job on the door, he's just come out from blowing some bloke's head off. So if he's got the mentality to do that, he's going to get tasty with a beer glass, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? So there is a regulation there. That is a bit of a positive.
Go on then. Give me a positive, Dan.
Apart from that, is there actually one?
No. Like I said, I'm not here to bash the SIA.
so I
I'm
think-
genuinely saying it. Is
I
there
Do we
some-
make a lot of money for the government?
I have said this,
Yeah.
and we've all come across it throughout the years that we've been doing this job, is where we've needed to know what we're doing. And I think one of the best things that they've done with the top-up course or included
First
into
aid.
is the first aid. I
Absolutely.
think that should have been done.
Yes, yeah,
Definitely
agreed.
done.
However,
Slightly.
Yeah.
it's only as good as the person teaching it.
Yeah.
Now,
I made a point of saying that a while
go
ago.
quite into detail, and I'm quite very enthusiastic about the information that I give them and how I deal with it. You know, and I teach them
I
things.
agree with that though. I
Yeah.
think that it is a good positive.
So I
think
teach them
that's-
about stab wounds and things like that,
Yeah.
which isn't in the criteria. So, you know, like open pneumothorax, sucking chest wound, you know, things like that that could save someone's life, but it's so easy to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's them sorts of things that should be.
It's a positive, right?
Yeah.
It's a positive that
Yeah.
should have been brought in a long time ago,
Yeah.
and I agree with that. And like I said, SIA, lower your fucking prices for everyone, will you? Just do us a favour.
Oh, they took £8 off,
lower.
didn't
Yeah, £6 is not going to change anyone's life. So lower the prices. I'll tell you what I'm going to say is so for you guys out there and for you guys that watched the transgender show, it was brilliant. We had 11,000 people on that. And the transgender show for us was brilliant because we asked the question, and we're probably going to do that again. We're probably going to say, these are certain questions that we didn't ask, and there were certain things that I thought of afterwards, and I thought, shit, I should have asked them that. But I've got another question here, and it's just come in. Marcel, love the show, love the guests, love everything you do, and it's a brilliant show. What are the real costs involved? So I can only say, if you're talking as in costs,
So
if you're talking about pay, or is he talking?
If you're looking at your course, so the cost involved, so you look at your course.
Yeah.
So you look at your course, what is it now to do your SAA course? 350 quid. Then it's 190 to do your badge. So that lasts for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, you've got that.
Course work, you're looking at 550 quid, give or take, aren't you? 550 quid gets you a course, you're good for 3 years. If you're talking about costs pay, I can tell you this much. If I pay you 13 quid an hour, you're costing me £15.80. That's a real cost, and that's a cost that I really don't like. If I have to put pension in there as well, you can basically put another 40p on top of that. So, yeah, fuckers.
A decent pair of working footwear.
Yeah.
You know, 120, 150 quid. A badge holder and an earpiece.
Good.
Well, we give you the badge holders. We give you that.
The thing is, your own personal cost.
Yeah.
Good kit is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I think
You can't-
I think the moral of this
I
one.
will say though,
Yeah, go on.
if you are good in the industry, you could make some money.
For sure. I
100%.
can tell you,
100%.
and
Well, in fact,
you guys can verify
you
this.
don't even have to
I've
be
got
good.
guys that
if you're
earn
willing
over
to sell your
£1,000.
soul,
Yeah.
you
A
can
week.
earn a
You
lot
can
of
earn a
money.
lot of
So, I mean, I know
I have
guys...
got guys that are earning £1,000 a week,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's a fact.
Yeah.
I've had them that have worked for me for years, and they are on £1,000 a week. So, I'm not saying that that's footballers' wages, but that's a pretty good
It's a
wage.
pretty good wage for what,
yeah.
And there are people that choose to earn £200 a week. It is what it is.
When you think about it, although, yes, I'm going to get slated for this now, not from you guys, I doubt, but when you look at it, this isn't, although we do the course, I would not say that this is a skilled job. We're not IT technicians.
I
I would say.
No, I would.
Yeah, I would.
I would say it's skilled. How many people over the years have you heard go, I can do your job? I can do that.
Yeah, but what
no,
I'm saying
you fucking
is,
can't.
No, but in comparison to a lot of other jobs, it's not as skilled.
Academically-
Do you know what I mean?
academically.
Exactly. So the money that you can make still reflects strongly against somebody that's skills.
I think you're
skill
doing
set needs to
yourself
be a
out
lot
of
higher.
I think you're doing yourself a disservice there. You've got 30 years experience working the door. I know that I could put you with a youngster and not have to worry about it, other than probably your language. But the reality is, you are skilled in what you do. You read people the same as I do. You can see a
And that
situation.
comes with knowledge and time and experience.
Whilst that
You
is
can't-
time, you
buy
can't
that.
teach
buy
that.
No.
No.
So, for me, there is a very high level of skill in experienced doormen. Hence why all experienced doormen, head doormen, people like that, want more money. And I am the first one to agree. Head doormen, people that have been doing it 20 years, should be on good money. Reality is this: I am the person who writes the checks, but I'm also the person that negotiates the rate. And when I say the rate, as in what that independent bar can pay, what the Stonegates, the Green Kings of this world, whatever they can pay. So we obviously want to get the most amount of money we can get. And some people say, "I'll pay the least amount." No, not for me.
So here's
I
one, right?
absolutely
So
will
the
go
cost
with the
of-
I'd
most
like
I
to say-
can
Cost
pay.
of living has gone up. Now, every single industry you look at, everything you do, the price has gone up.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything. But what hasn't gone up, and this isn't just the screw industry, this is pretty much across the board, is wages.
Yeah. I bought a fucking cream tea today. Cream tea, scone and jam, and it was $7.95.
Well, that serves itself right.
Since fucking.
So that's what broke the finger, sticking it out with the green tea.
but my point is, everything has gone up, and over the pandemic, wages has gone up for doormen. It jumped. Let's face it jumped. So a lot of people that were on 10s and 11s went to
so
12s.
do you know why that is, though? That's nothing to do with that. That's because people want their doorman back. Because so many people lost doormen.
I didn't want to go-
or their
Agreed.
staff to go and work in retail over COVID that were making a mint.
Yeah.
If
Do
you
you know-
wanted to go and work on a COVID site, you were earning good money in a lot of places. And so now people want their staff back because they've got
Agreed.
the pubs and clubs.
I've
so they're
got
now
clubs
having
that
to match that wage.
specifically ask for certain doormen.
I've asked. I didn't want to go back to it, but it was something because the pandemic. It's done. Do you know what I mean? We lived it for years. It was horrible.
Wait
we
down
went
for
through
lockdown
it.
24.
We done it, and it all happened. But when you were seeing your good doormen that then couldn't work doors because it weren't open, and they were going and doing delivery driving for Waitrose or whatever.
Yeah.
On the same money with no risk to getting a glass in the head or your nose put all over your face.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you can understand why they go. Do you know? And let's not even take into the account of the unsociable hour side of things that we do.
But we've all known that, haven't we? Over the years, we've all known that. You know,
I
a
think
pizza
that is
delivery
a
drive
choice.
for Domino's
Yeah.
gets
I
paid
think-
the same
I
as
think
Dorman.
with doors as well.
You know, I think
you don't just do it for the money. You do
I think we
it
do
I
it because
It
we enjoy
is-
it.
it
It's
is
a
a
little
way-
bit of
I've
a
tried
buzz,
to
I
isn't
think
it?
it's a way of
Literally,
life, isn't it?
from
You
doors.
get used to it.
Yeah.
So here's
I always
one.
end up back on the door.
Yeah.
So this is true. So I've taken a venue on in Bournemouth recently. When was the last time you went into a toilet and I call them the lucky men, one for the Panani, aftershave guys, all the rest
What
of
is
it.
it you call them?
The lucky
Lucky
men,
men.
Oh, okay.
So I went into. I'll be honest. The last time I can't remember the last time, but we used to have one in Jumping Jacks, one, and they used to sell
Yeah,
the
some
after-
margaritas.
So
Junk
we
up
got
one
the
of them.
guys in the toilets, and I went into the toilet, and there's none of this £1 a squirt bollocks anymore. I went in there and I said, "Oh, you got a chewing gum?" And he said, "That's £1 for one bit of chewing gum." I was like, "Fucking yeah, all right. I'll have a bit of chewing gum for £1." And then I said, "How much is the aftershave?" He goes, "4. It's a pound a pump, as in a squirt." And I was like, "So normally you go 3, 4." So I went 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squirts of aftershave, smelling good, you know.
Bit of gun fiver.
And I was like, I've just done a fiver on this bastard. And then I sat there and thought, I did the maths. I was sat there going, if he serves 100 people, he's on £500 a fucking night.
On stock, which is probably
Next
costing
week,
20 quid.
I am putting some fucking
Rob from the
dreadlocks
shop.
on. I'm going into the
Exactly
toilet,
that, yeah.
and I'm telling you, I'm selling some.
And all of
I'm
that.
banging out some
And
fucking
thing is, and
aftershaves.
all of that aftershave's nicked from Boots because the security guards are substandard.
And the problem, yeah. So you know, people was doing it, but no. So the moral of this story is, fuck the security off and go and be a lucky man in the toilet.
Thing is, so every industry at the moment, like from actors in America to nurses to train drivers, all going on strike.
Yeah.
Why? And one thing we haven't got in the security industry is we haven't got any form of union or anything
Yeah.
to support us to go on strike with. That's what we need.
So let's put that out there. So guys, so we'll do this at another time. How many of the SIA think that we should have a union? I agree. I think we should have a representative that says, no, fuck this. The doormen are taking enough shit. They're getting stabbed. They're getting spat out. They're getting all
It's
of
not
these
just
things.
that. It's how many doormen
You
have
know?
lost their licence at the hands of the police.
For sure.
When actually they shouldn't have.
Well-
because they've got no one to help. They've got no union to help them.
Yeah, and
You
this
know,
is it.
no,
So
don't get me wrong,
I
we all
believe
know
there
that-
should be a
yeah.
union, and I think that we'll put that out there to everyone who sees it and go, you know what?
There should be some sort of.
Or if
Some
not
sort
a
of
union,
backup,
they- yeah,
something.
even if
Do you
it's
know what I
not
mean?
a
You pay all that
union, there
money.
should be an ombudsman. Somebody to look at things for
There
you.
needs to be something.
Maybe there's a niche in the market there. We could start this. You know, four of us here now. We're going to start the union for the SIA.
No, but I think.
and
I
we'll
think
start
that-
ripping people
Mate,
off. for a
honestly,
badge.
just
You
call
can have a
me.
union card to
Mate,
go with your SIA.
I
badge.
think-
Just call me Jimmy Hoffa.
I wonder, just wonder what the SIA feel about it. If you ask somebody from the SIA, and I'd love to ask them, but no fucker from the SIA ever wants to come and talk to us, to say, you know, should the doorman have a union to represent the doorman? I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering what the SIA would say.
Legally, they couldn't stop you, could they? Really?
No. But I'm wondering if they'd go, yeah, that's a good idea.
No,
or would they?
The only way that they would do that is if they could monetize it.
The people.
If they said, right, here's the SIA, and you can join the union as well for an extra £50 on your badge. Oh, boom! Of course they're going to do it because
Yeah, but that'd probably be their
But
union.
the thing is, right?
that's what I mean.
It's not just the SIA. Anybody that looks at us, right, will refuse to come and answer questions, right? Now, I know for a fact that you've asked our local police licensing team to sit around this table.
I have actually. I'm going to send
know?
them another invite. I would love to get a couple of our licensing lads out here, and they're more than welcome. I'll be honest.
You
If
know,
I get on right with our
I was going to
licensing
say, I'm
guys-
not going to blow
They're
smoke
they're
up their
generally pretty
arses,
good, aren't
but
they?
Yeah.
you know, you can have a chat with them. They'll come out, you know, and
How do you get on with your licensing people out in Wiltshire?
They're not bad. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say they're bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're great neither, but they're not bad.
No, I think, yeah, I mean, don't
I
get me
think
wrong. I
it all
think
depends as well
the
which club
licensing
or
guys that
whatever.
I certainly get on with, I try to get on with. And what I like about them is they're not, I'm going to call them kids, they're police officers, but they're older in they're older
they're more
police
mature in
officers.
their years.
And these guys understand the job, I suppose, is the easiest way of doing it. And for me, I can pick up a phone to one of the licensing goes, and he will say to me, Marcel, one of your guys has been a dick. Have a word with him, sort it out. And I'll go, yeah, fair enough.
Might have happened.
It's possibly happened a couple of times, Gav. But, no, but genuinely speaking, I can sit there and go, yeah, you know what? I'll have a chat with them.
But in the same
And
respect,
I'll have a word. And,
the
but
same-
they don't jump all over you if they think that it can be dealt with like that.
So
What I do find is newer police officers, people
they're a
that-
very fragile breed.
yeah,
You know,
they're
whereas
very
like,
easily offended.
Like the police.
That's the trouble.
Oh,
And that's the
gosh.
trouble with society now. And even with door staff. You know, some of the new door staff can't speak to me like that. Oh, don't call me that. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
Well, we touched on something earlier, didn't we? That unfortunately, English people, especially now, we're scared to say what we think for fear of offending somebody. And whilst I might not necessarily give a shit what you think, I don't necessarily intentionally want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
But I might go, you know what,
but
I don't
no
care,
one
but that's
says
my
anything.
opinion.
That in
The thing
itself-
is, it's like regarding like, if you take equality, diversity, for example, right? I'm all for it, but I'm all for it if there's exactly the same outcome that would be.
yeah,
there
it has
if
to be
there-
transparent both sides.
Yeah.
It can't
Do you know
just
what I mean?
be.
I look at door work and I think
one
right,
way.
priority, keep people safe in that club.
Yes,
or pub,
for
whatever.
sure.
That is the first and
Yeah,
foremost.
keep yourself
That
safe.
is why you're
keep
there.
yourself
That was
safe.
why
Keep
bouncers
the staff
come about.
safe.
This is
Keep
what-
customers
yeah.
safe.
So that is, in a nutshell, why you're there. You're not there to technically host, which is getting seen way before the principles of what you're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll look at someone, say like someone's applied for a job for me, I'll be like, right, okay, whatever. Obviously I'll ask for experience, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then I'll look at it and be like, right, you then look at it, right, could he deal with a situation should it arise? Yes, right, that's sorted, we know that. Right, can he keep a straight head in a situation? Blah, blah, blah. No. Right, if that's a no, then he hasn't ticked the boxes that I need to have from a door. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but then, you've
The SIA is almost the only industry in which you don't have to really give a CV for.
yeah,
and that's proven with the
It's like
amount
I've
of badges
said
that
with,
are out
Yeah.
there.
With that,
You know.
because a lot of people at one point, obviously, when this training malpractice come about, they were literally blasting trainers, right? But I've done HGV work in the past, so I've got HGV licenses. Just because I've got a license, a HGV license, doesn't mean I've got the right to drive a lorry. Okay,
No, yeah,
I've
exactly,
got
yeah,
the
yeah.
access to do it.
Yeah.
So by having an SIA license, it doesn't give you the right to work on a door, but it gives you the access to work on a door. So
Unfortunately-
then that's when it falls down
Yeah.
to employers
Yeah.
to do their part.
And I think that's where maybe some caveats to it are sort of like lacking. You know,
Yeah.
if you know, hypothetically speaking, Marcel, he's got 2 new venues. He gets 2 guys turn up. He goes, oh, I've got my SIA badge. I've had it for 3
Yeah.
years. Just renewed it. Oh, boom, great. Got 2 new doing
Yeah.
one. Yeah, you look big, guys. Boom, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they've had them badges. They just renewed it for the sake of it, but they've never done a door before.
Yeah.
But we don't really interview, do we?
No. And that's
such, you know.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. So, although someone's got a license and technically they shouldn't have it, it's still got to go through so many chains for them to be on that door,
Yeah.
or be at that festival, or be at.
Let's not forget. I mean,
we try. So I can here at the office, we get people in for interviews.
Yeah.
And we try, and you know, sometimes we'll say yeah, and sometimes we'll be like, not happening. And then there's times where we can go, look, we can use him on a static site. He's not a doorman.
Yeah.
And what I find is a lot of the
Round pegs,
English,
round holes.
a lot of the English lads tend to have no problems working doors. I've got to be honest. And anyone who, or should I say, a lot of the non-English don't want to do doors. They want to do building sites. They want to do somewhere.
let's
and
let's
I
go back.
find
Obviously,
a
we
trend
mentioned the
in that.
non-English.
Yeah.
Let's push that from one side to the other in the sense that, you know, whilst we know there's a demographic issue that side, there's also a demographic issue, not so much now, but certainly used to be on the Eastern European side.
Yeah, for sure. I
You know.
apologise if I pigeonholed anyone because I don't mean that. What I mean by it is there just tends to be a lack of enthusiasm when we say we want you to work
That is
doors.
the difference.
Yeah.
Is
You know,
generally
everyone
the
wants
size
to do a
and the
static
enthusiasm.
site, and,
you know.
and
sometimes you
I
do look at
apologise
them
if
and go,
anyone
okay,
thinks
can't
I'm
speak English because I know you've got the
pigeon-
back on.
I think
Whereas
with
the
the
other way is
regulation
like,
side of it, how many people, and I know this is a long time ago now, but I think this was the start of the demise of the SIA, as in being a victim of its own success, really. With the Olympics, how many badges were given out just willy-nilly?
Oh, so
You know,
I can tell you
and-
some
and let's
figures.
get- and here's the thing,
ridiculous,
those
like
people-
12,000.
Right,
So there was-
but here's
there
the
was-
thing,
I can tell you
those
the
people
figures.
there
Yeah.
that, in my own mind's eye, shouldn't have a badge,
was-
because they've had that initial badge, they are permitted to keep renewing.
Well, they are now, yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
So
And
what
they've-
happened was that there were 16,000
Yeah, that's it,
badges,
16,000.
16,000 badges issued for the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
Out of those 16,000, I think only something like 1,800 ever renewed in 2016, and that was a generation of guys that were literally taken off the dole line and told, "You're going to lose your benefits unless
If
you
you
go
don't."
and do this." So obviously there is a standard that has gone. We've rode that storm, if you like. 2016 was the end of that.
But that's
if you
what I'm
like.
saying. But so we rode that storm, but that same storm is what
Keeps
we're
reoccurring.
seeing
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
smaller
The
pods.
thing is, you've got a chance to
you
rid
know?
that every 3 years when someone does a top up now.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But you're not.
And like I said, this isn't an Asian thing, Eastern European thing, but those guys with the language barriers, that's not. Let's not keep falling into that same hole
Yeah.
of renewing the badges just because they tick the boxes.
But this is the thing.
One
you,
thing
could-
I'd-
you
yeah.
could do a top up, right, through nation training, right? So a guy comes, does a top up course, you fail him. You can see him working 6 months later in Tesco.
Oh,
Oh, we've done that already.
Yeah.
We've done that. I failed somebody.
But this is
I
what I'm
failed
saying,
somebody
the top-up courses.
2 months ago, and he's now got an SIA badge, and I'm like, hang on, he
yeah.
failed my course.
The top-up courses.
and he's not come back and done it.
Yeah. The top up courses.
I can tell you that categorically.
is- that could be,
Multiple
be a
times.
reason. That could be a a sort of fence to stop that. But it's not.
One,
know what I mean?
one thing
Because
that interests me,
They
right,
don't.
much
They don't
corruption.
utilise the
What-
tools
yeah,
that they
yeah,
have
yeah.
in order to be able to get rid of it. That's
I
what I'm
think so.
saying.
Where there's so, there's regulation, but they're not sticking to the script as to what it's there for. Do you know what I mean? So you can use tools like that to actually better the industry, but because it's like I say, it is such a
and
corrupt
that's what I want to
industry
do.
that
I don't think we're
brings in-
learning
No.
from previous mistakes in the industry.
Yeah.
And that can be anything from what you just spoke about then, Jace, to the Manchester Arena
Yeah.
incident. You know, and we're not learning from these mistakes. So, for example, I went to watch Michael McIntyre at the Bic in Bournemouth
Yeah.
the other night, and whilst I was walking up, boom, 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 it was nice and busy. We all walked in to the Bic before anyone was searched or anything like that. So I wasn't searched, patted down, or anything like that. It was only if you had a bag and it was over a certain size. If it was under a certain size, they'd just let you walk in. Now, everyone was in there and no one was actually checked your tickets or nothing until you wanted to go into the actual auditorium.
Yeah.
And I said to, and
But wasn't that half the problem with the Ariana Grande?
Yeah,
Ariana
exactly
Grande
that.
concert?
So-
it was actually
and-
outside into the
So-
yeah.
auditorium.
and this is the thing. So we're not learning
No.
from these
Absolutely
mistakes,
not.
and,
Well,
and
I
this
think-
is the issue. Now we
I
know
think
it's
we
only
need
a
to-
matter of time.
I think we need to
what
hang
it is,
fire
it's-
on that, and I'll
it's like
explain
with-
why.
with-
The Martin's Law is due to be coming out any time in the next couple of months here, and largely from what they hope that we would have learned from that. So to say that we haven't learned yet is true. However, I think we need to sort of just hold on that to go, you know what, what's coming out in Martin's Law, from what I've perceived at the minute, there are a lot of things that are changing for venues and events, certainly venues that are over
I've-
800 capacity. And I think that there are things that have been learned or they would like to put in place. And I think that there will be some changes. So for me to say, let's just hang fire, I know it's taken a while. And what we're talking about is actually the derivative of 2017. Was the Ariana Grande concert was 2017, wasn't it?
But
So that's 6 years it's
there
taken
are
to come to
still-
fruition.
There, I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is nowhere near as bad. It was nowhere near as horrific. But I've worked and still do work at one of the most famous sports stadiums in the world, and I'm not going to mention it, but let's just say that I was there when it went wrong for the Euros. Right now,
But the thing
Pretty
is
much
with-
give away now.
but I still didn't mention. But what I'm trying
But
to
we
say
highlighted
is,
it. That's the worst thing.
right,
It was highlighted.
we
time and time
highlighted
again.
that, And then it was pass the buck. You know,
Yeah, a
it
lot
was
of the
too
time-
late. I was pulling children out under men's boots
I
that
think
day.
instead of being proactive, they're just reactive, aren't they?
Yeah,
That's-
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
it. And then they're passing the buck in the blame. You know, I know who I believe that it was at fault that day. I was there. You know, I suffered the blows, as did 300 of our colleagues. There was not one of us that wasn't hurt. there.
You go on about Martin's Law coming out, Mars. If you've not seen it, go and watch a film called Richard Jewell. Okay, if you've not seen it, go and watch it.
I haven't seen it.
It's about American security guard that similar to the Ariana Grande, but he spots what's going to happen, notifies the police and the FBI, and then basically gets accused of it, and you know, and that's almost so. What's coming out here is almost sort of like a caveat of things that come out from that. So if you've watched that and then you think, oh, hang about. Ariana Grande, it rings a bell.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's a good film, you know.
Yeah.
Go and watch it, you know, and see what your thoughts are, and
So-
see what we could have learned from that.
So I did say that we would probably be able to waffle on about this for quite a while. We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes, so we're going to start to wrap this up. But so I'm going to finish up with a couple of questions. So I'm going to probably ask the questions for myself. So I'm going to ask you. So you three have been here. You're all in the security industry. I'm going to ask you about the first thing. What's the biggest problem with door work? Go.
Oh, biggest problem with door work is, I would say, staff quality.
Quality of staff.
Yeah.
Gary.
Ill-managed companies.
Bad managed companies. Good one. Dan?
Bad management
Of.
of the venue. So-
Okay, so all three. So these are three things that we could all improve regarding nighttime economy, door staff, if you like. Let's go. Sports stadiums. So what do you think about sports stadiums? Biggest problem with sports stadiums, Jace?
Again, quality of staff.
Again, quality of staff.
I think they need to make sure that all the governing bodies, i.e. the stadiums and the police and the security companies, are all pulling the same way.
So we work with a lot of multiple agencies, and I can tell you now, I mean, for example, Man Commercial, we help Man Commercial and they've helped us. We will 100%, we try and work with everyone. We don't try and go against anything, especially companies that we work with and for. So, you know, from my point of view, I have no problem in working with other companies, truthfully, and I really hope that that is something that most other companies should embrace. Dan?
I'd say perceived safety over real safety. For example, during COVID, no one was getting searched, and even now, some of the stadiums and some areas don't physically search someone through fear of COVID and things like that. And you know, you cannot allow people into your venue if you've got a search policy and just go through the motions or whatever.
I think
you
we've
know.
all seen the guy with
Yeah, the Tottenham Hotspur, the old White
Bless
Lane
you.
Stadium or whatever it was.
Bless you, my
know,
son. Okay.
There's got to be a caveat.
And last one in the industry, which is a bugbear for me, everyone using UTR numbers and paying cash. What do you
All
think
for
of
it.
that, Jace?
I think it needs to stamp out, really. I think it should be persuaded to PAYE. It's I've got a company myself. It's very small, but I persuade people onto PAYE.
Yeah.
I'm not an ACS approved contractor, but so I could do UTR. However, for
Yes, you
myself-
could. That's a good point. I am an ACS approved company, and I cannot use UTR numbers. Everyone must be employed,
Yeah.
and yet what you've just said, you are categorically allowed,
Yeah.
which gives you an advantage.
Yeah.
There you go, SIA. There's a fucking reason for you to look at, is why I have to jump through hoops, make sure everyone's on PAYE, and yet Jason here, no fault of his own, can pay somebody through UTR number. That needs to be fucking sorted out.
So with being paid PAYE, it's another form of regulation to make sure that person is legal to be here, to be working, to be allowed. You know, yes, they've got the badge, but
screening allows that as well. But to be fair, I persuade them onto PAYE because they treat it more as a job, as in
Absolutely.
as in
Yeah.
employment,
Yeah.
not as in I want to earn a quick fucking 12 quid an hour or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
No,
And
that's fair enough.
so I look at that and think like
The people that
if I
want to
put-
work are actually
Yeah,
there
yeah,
because they
yeah.
want to work,
So I've
not
got-
just for a quick night
Yeah.
of going, boom, gives me 100 quid, see you later,
But it is
and
a
then
lot
go
more
and find
expensive.
another
Like
job.
you
Yeah.
say, it's way more expensive.
Yeah, for sure it is. You know, I have to pay employers' contribution, NI, holiday. I have to pay pension.
Yeah.
So if any one of my staff wants to opt out of their pension, please let me know because it'll save me a fortune. If everyone wants to pay me cash, you're more than welcome. But no, genuinely speaking,
But it is a lot harder. It is hard to battle with the UTR.
Especially,
Or whatever it is,
not so
like-
much. It's a lot more manageable for the doors and things like that for week in, week out. Where it becomes an issue is you're a festival.
Festivals, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know for a fact that there are people out there and mates of mine who do it. You know, they will go and work for a company that they know they're just going to get backs paid straight into their account. Boom, don't have to worry about it.
half of Marchwood Army Base do that.
But I think as well,
Yeah. You know,
what
still
you got to
see-
look at there is pay rates, because obviously I've got no contracts for festivals. However, I do.
so I
some
don't blame
So I-
squaddies for doing that. They do
I
enough
still
for the
see
country.
I see adverts quite regularly on Facebook. Certain people that I'm friends with need 2 SI door security guards, 2 12-hour shifts, paid 12 hours later in your bank.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't get me wrong.
that's
I
a
mean,
blatant.
I'm not against that. You know, we all get fastballs. You know as well as company directors. You know, there comes a time when you come unstuck. Someone says, "I need this." You go, "Shit, I need that," because they're a good customer. They're a good
yeah.
client. You know, I want to look after them.
but-
And you do what you need to do. It's
You do.
advertising it and keeping it quiet. That's the issue.
Yeah.
You know, if you do it, keep it quiet, and it's just a one-off here and there. Is it really that much of an issue? No. But when it becomes an issue, I think is like you say, when it's all the time.
So
and it's being thrown in your face.
My issue is that
And you're
we've spoken
losing-
to so many staff that we want to take on.
Yeah.
And their hourly rates are around 13.50, 14 quid. I can do that.
Now,
that's
I'm all
fine.
about, when
But
I
this
say
is-
that,
but
I'm all
then-
about staff that work for you all the time.
Yeah,
not
but
just
then
finding
they
a
are
couple
going to
of-
be working
yeah,
for me. But then they're like, but we get that cash, and I'm like, well, I can give you that through the books.
But then I think-
and then they're like, well, that means I'm on 12 quid an
But
hour.
that's down to the SIA.
That is a real bugbear
But I
for
think-
me.
I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
down to the SIA.
I
They
get
should
that a
set
lot.
the SIA should set a precedent then and say every person.
But it's not their responsibility. It's not the
No,
SIA's
no,
responsibility.
it's not. But
It's HMRC.
this is where they need to come together and become conjoined and go. There's your badge. You can use it on the provider that you are being paid PAYE.
Yeah, well,
But they can't
whatever
legally
it is.
do that because the
But then
tax.
if you think about
loophole.
it, it's like you say, you get a lot of people asking you, I get paid that cash or whatever, I'm telling you I get paid that cash. You would literally lose probably half the people in the industry.
no, 100%. Yeah.
And then the festivals won't go ahead, the events won't go ahead, the concerts won't go ahead,
But
door staff will, nightclubs will be understaffed.
For sure, for sure. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap this up and we're going to go from there. So, guys, listen up. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Danny, Gary, Jason, myself, we've been rabbiting on for the best part of an hour and 15 minutes now. Anything you've seen that you want to talk to us about, let us know. We're going to do another show. It's great to be back. I've got to be honest, I'm pleased that we managed to get this one out. I've just had so much stuff over this summer and obviously it's been a while, but hopefully we will do another one next week. And please let me know what you think. I really do appreciate your feedback and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again to my guests and hopefully...
get some volunteers, get yourselves on here.
Yeah,
come
we're
down,
going
get yourself
to
on
get
it.
some people that run some festivals. I'm going to make an attempt for the SIA to come and sit here and answer some questions.
Get yourself a badge. Get yourself a UTR
Yeah,
number.
I
You're
think-
banging.
To be honest, if you can get the SIA on here, I think it would be really good because
The
I think a
trouble
lot
is-
of people...
The
Yeah,
moment they
I've-
incriminate
I've-
themselves accidentally,
I don't know
they're
about
going to get smashed.
Yeah, I don't know about incriminating, but somebody we
Just
will
to
try
get
to get
answers.
somebody on here and just go, look, we can answer these questions. And it's not the person who's here, it's not their fault. But listen, guys, really appreciate your time and hopefully you enjoy the show. Please let us know. It will be going on tonight and it will be on YouTube and social media. Look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks very much and I'll see you next week.